All righty. We are finally live. Apologies for the delay, guys. Insider betting. Jesse, I appreciate you joining me. How you doing?
Good. I accidentally have the audio up on our live stream on the other page. Sorry about that.
That's okay.
Doing great. Yeah, doing great. Very, very excited for this big boxing fight this weekend. So I've been waiting for this one for a while. I think everybody's been waiting for it for a while. So I'm excited. Can you hear me?
Yeah, sorry. I can't find it. I have like a bunch of audio coming from my way.
Oh no.
Are you okay right now?
Yeah, you good?
Sorry, 2 seconds. Technical difficulties.
Yeah, sorry guys.
Predictions on your end?
Yeah, you're coming in a little muffled right now.
My apologies. I'm good to go. That was super weird on my end.
All right, sorry guys.
Cool. Well, anyway, Fury Usyk, a fight we've been waiting for. That's this Saturday. Jesse, walk us through your thoughts on the fight.
Well, I believe it's taking place at like sometime in the afternoon here in LA because it's in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. So it's going to be at a weird time zone for us. This is how the Fury, the Joshua Ngannou fight and the Fury Ngannou fight was, I believe. So I'm excited just because I get to watch it during the day, and then UFC is a little early that night too. So it's fun. Fury is this fight. The odds are super close. Fury's -120. Usyk is a +100. So it's essentially a coin flip fight. You would think that Fury would be a bigger favorite, to be honest, but I think it's just a testament to how good Usyk really is. And I think this is actually probably the most dangerous fight Fury has had. From a technical standpoint, obviously Deontay Wilder was super dangerous, almost knocked him out multiple times. But this is a very, very dangerous fight for Fury because Usyk is a very, very, very real live dog here. And not even a dog, only a +100. So I like this fight a lot. I have a few interesting sprinkle bets here. I don't have a pick yet, but I don't know. Who do you got?
Yeah, it's an interesting fight, dude. A very interesting fight. It's Usyk is just so dangerous, but it's so funny seeing them go face to face because Fury just kind of like towers over him, you know. But we saw kind of how Usyk went against Anthony Joshua those 2 times. So yeah, I'm having trouble picking this one, but I liked your prop bets that you have going on with the well, I don't know if I should reveal it yet.
Yeah, no, I'll get to them. One thing I wanted to say is that Usyk has fought at like multiple weight divisions. So Fury is the natural heavyweight here, where Usyk has fought in like multiple weight divisions. So he is small. You're right. He is small next to Fury. But it's funny, if you looked at the weigh-ins earlier, or the face-off press conference earlier, Fury didn't even look at him. They actually didn't have a face-off. Fury was looking forward while Usyk was staring at him.
Yeah.
I think that Usyk has a real chance to win. And I don't say that about a lot of guys that Tyson Fury has fought. And after what I saw against Francis Ngannou, I'm very concerned. I do think Fury looks very good physically. I think he's in great shape. Obviously, he's arguably the best heavyweight ever. There's an argument for it. But I think that Usyk has been lobbying for this fight, preparing for this fight for years. And I think that this is going to be an absolute banger where we might see both guys getting dropped multiple times in this fight, or at least each of them will get dropped at one point or another in this fight. So I've constructed a little, if you're interested, if you think that both guys are going to get dropped, whoever wins, whoever loses, I think you'll be interested in this because there's a great little prop bet on DraftKings. It's in their specials section for this specific fight. There's this one where, sorry, let's start with this. Let's start with, sorry. I fucked this up. I fucked this up real bad. All right. So both fighters get knocked down, but Fury wins is a +1600. I think that this is a very real bet. I think that Fury probably wins this fight, but I do think he got dropped by Francis Ngannou. He's been dropped by Deontay Wilder. He's shown he's a little bit chinny, and that's a concern for me. is that he's getting older. He's been hit hard a few times, and he seems to drop when he gets hit. So I do think Fury will get dropped, and I do think Usyk will get dropped. And if you think that Fury's going to win, this is an incredible bet. And the same goes for the next one, which is you get a little bit extra, where if Usyk wins, you get a plus 1,800 if both fighters are dropped. For me, that's not enough to just to take this bet. I think it's actually safer to just bet that both fighters get dropped and then the fight goes the distance, because I do think that the fight ultimately goes to decision, because I think Usyk is too technical to get knocked out and too good on defense to get knocked out. And I think that Fury has just shown that he can get to the end of fights. So I think we have one, if both fighters get knocked down, but it goes to the distance. What is it?
If it goes to the distance,
we're plus 1,400. So you lose a little bit of value, but it's a safer bet. And I really like that bet, and I'm going to make it because I do think both guys are going to get knocked down in this fight.
Yeah, I agree. I think they're both going to get knocked down. I think with Usyk getting knocked down, I don't want to say it's a given, but I think with a bit of the size difference, like you'd almost expect him to potentially get knocked down. So I think that's a very safe bet. I think with Fury and Ngannou, how we saw him get knocked down against Ngannou, I think you're right. Not that he's getting a weaker chin, but what one drop won't hurt him too much. He'll get back up, and then I still think that he likely will win. I think after we saw him in the Ngannou fight, I don't think anybody expected Ngannou to do as well as he did. A lot of people argued that Ngannou should have won that fight.
Right.
But I also don't think we saw the best version of Tyson that night, because I don't think he took Ngannou as seriously as he should have in theory. And I think he's just going to be much better prep for this fight, which is why I'm leaning towards him. But I also think you're 100% right. Usyk can still win this fight. I think if Usyk wins, it'll likely be by decision. But there's definitely still a potential for Usyk to win. He's got an extremely high IQ, or fighter IQ. So there's always that potential by decision.
I saw somebody describing Usyk as like the ultimate problem solver. So he's very good at like solving the puzzle box of his opponent. So even if it doesn't mean that he wins, it means that he's going to be able to go a long way in this fight. It's worth noting, in terms of the bets coming in, with it being so close, such a coin flip fight, 73% of the bets that have come in are on Tyson Fury, where 27% are on Usyk. Being that it's at a minus 120 for Fury, plus 100 a virtual coin flip, hammer it now, dude. Because if that keeps happening over the next couple of days, Fury's going to be like a minus 200 by the time we actually get to Saturday. Because the bettors seem to think that it's going to be Fury. So just worth noting.
I agree. But yeah, so I think we're in for a fun fight. Do you know what time that is on Saturday? You said during the day.
I don't know. Let me check. Hold on. Fury Usyk start time. So it's supposed to start.
Looks like it's Saturday at 5 p.m. So probably right before the UFC main card.
Eastern?
Sorry, I think it's 5 p.m. Central.
Okay, so that means that okay, all right. So I guess they moved it back a little bit. So it's gonna be late in the night in Riyadh then, if that's the case.
Yeah.
No, I hope they're acclimated. Not as bad as UFC 304, but
yeah, I mean, with Tyson's last few fights happening in Riyadh, I'm sure he's adjusted at this point. And I think Usyk fought Anthony Joshua I don't think it was in Riyadh, but I think it was in Saudi Arabia just once. So I think
I'm guessing they're doing it because the pay-per-views have been pretty bad. These Riyadh cards, the pay-per-view's been pretty bad, and this one's like arguably the biggest heavyweight fight ever, or one of the top 5 heavyweight fights ever. So I think they got to make this a more accessible pay-per-view time for everybody.
Yeah, no, I agree. But all right, okay, so that was the boxing aspect of things. We do have UFC this weekend as well, which I'm very excited about. There's a lot of really close fights. So yeah, let's chat a little bit about that. Oh, my apologies there.
I switched over.
Yeah, I didn't realize you did, so then I tried. Okay, lot of close fights. There's one major underdog on this card. We'll only cover the main card. If you're just joining us, feel free to leave comments. We do review them, and we'll get back to you as we see them pop up. But yeah, UFC main card. We have Luana Pinheiro fighting Angela Hill to open the main card up. Very interesting fight. Pinheiro is coming in at plus 120. Angela Hill is coming in at minus 142. It's pretty wild considering she's, I believe, 39. So she's definitely a vet. But I agree with her being the favorite. How do you see the fight playing out?
Angela Hill is a gamer. She's been around the block. She's been in a lot of fights, a lot of wars. We actually just got an interview with her. Mike Owens, who works for us, just got an interview with Angela Hill. And, she still maintains that she is dedicated to getting that strawweight belt. So she's fully motivated. I like the way Luana looked in her last fight. I forget who it was. I remember I watched it. Do you have that by any chance, who it was that she was fighting?
No,
I have it right here. Yeah, I have it right here. So in her last fight, she fought. Where the hell is it? Well, she lost. Oh no, it was grappling. I'm sorry. Yeah. Oh, I'm thinking of the Waterson Gomez. Yeah, she lost by spinning wheel kick against Amanda Ribas. That's right. So she looked really good against Waterson Gomez. I think that Angela Hill probably wins, but if I'm being honest, I'm not going to place a bet on this fight. I feel like it's too close. I think that you're onto something with your parlay that I'm not going to reveal, but I would venture to guess that this fight's not going to end in a finish. If I'm the only way this ends in a finish is if it's a submission. So I just don't see any knockouts happening in this fight. That's my take on it. I'll be honest, I don't really have a good take on this fight.
That's fair. That's fair. I did do my research here a little bit.
Okay.
And prior to her loss, Luana was actually on a 9-fight win streak, which is always impressive to see. I do think that Angela Hill, she's a vet. She's been in the game for a really long time. I think one thing is guaranteed about this fight is that it's going to go the distance. So that's something to keep in mind. But I think over 3 rounds, Angela Hill's just been in the game for so long that she'll just know how to win the rounds. She'll get a few takedowns most likely. She might knock her down once, but I do see just the experience that Angela Hill has. I just see that kind of towering over. I know Luana had an impressive win against Michelle Waterson, which is something to consider. Michelle's also an older opponent in a sense, but I still think Angela Hill wins this one, personally.
That's fair. I'm looking at a couple of different prop bets here. There are a couple of little fun ones, like over takedowns landed. Over 0.5 is a minus 125. I think that feels like a virtual lock to me. So if you don't want to, for Angela Hill, so if you don't want to bet on a winner, you could always bet on how many takedowns. If they get one takedown, you get a minus 125. So I kind of like that bet, if I'm being honest. That's what I would bet. I would bet on either one of them. Luana Pinheiro is a minus 150 and Angela Hill is minus 125. So it's kind of the same. Yeah. Either one of them gets a takedown in this fight, and I think that you're in pretty good shape.
I agree. I could see that very well happening. I think that Pinheiro actually averages like just over 2 takedowns per fight.
Yeah. So it's at 1.5. Over 1.5 is minus 150. Under 1.5 is a plus 110.
There we go. There we go. All right. Well, with the next fight of the card, Adrian Jannis versus Vinicius Salvador. Adrian Jannis is coming off of 2 losses. He's 3 in his last 5, and Vinicius is also coming off of 2 losses. Adrian Jannis is a minus 380. Vinicius Salvador is plus 300. He's 0-2 in the UFC. So his last 2 losses were actually in the UFC, and they're both. So he's 0-2. I think what the UFC is trying to do here is, I think Adrian Jannis, he was hot when he started. I think they want him to kind of get back in that winning column. So they've given him, I don't want to say a layup because it's disrespectful to Vinicius there, but it is a layup in a sense for him, or at least it should be. I I don't think the fight's going to go the distance. I think it's going to be a purely striking match because I don't think either of them grapple too much. And because of that, I would go with Jannis by TKO or KO at -115, I think is a good shout.
That's my exact bet that I was going to bring up here because you're not getting any value just betting him on the money line. So at a -115, that's basically 50-50 money. You're losing a little bit, but it's basically the best you're going to get in this fight. So I would 100% make a bet on Jannis to win by TKO. Jannis, I've interviewed Jannis before. Awesome dude. Great boxer. Very good boxer. And it all started, his little losing streak here all started because he got knocked out by Rob Font. A fight that was an absolute banger for like 2.5, 3 minutes where him and Font were piecing each other up. And he was piecing up Rob Font, who is like an elite or, one of the top strikers in that division. Vinicius, never even heard of the guy. No disrespect, but it feels like you're right. This is let's get Giannis's confidence back a little bit. And I would even venture to bet on a first round TKO if possible, because I could see Jannis dropping him in the first couple of minutes of this fight. So if you feel like getting frisky, otherwise just winning by KO, TKO -115 feels pretty good.
Yeah, that's a good shot. I was actually looking at that. I ended up going with just the fight not going the distance because if he doesn't drop him pretty early, it probably won't finish in the first round. And it's only a 3-round fight. So the fight not going the distance is -225. But if you go under 1.5 rounds, you're looking at +120. So definitely a decent value bet there.
Yeah, but Jannis was always just, for people who don't know, Jannis was like literally a dark horse title shot candidate just a couple of fights ago. So a very, very trendy name amongst a lot of UFC fans. And he's kind of taken a backseat. People have forgotten about him.
Yeah.
He's going to come out hot in this fight. He's going to put some hands on this dude. I'm pretty sure. So if he loses this fight, he's going to be in some bad shape. So
yeah,
he can't lose this one. That's for sure.
Yeah, no, I agree. No, he's definitely coming with something to prove. He's on a 2-fight loss streak, and you don't want to be. You just don't want to lose, period. So he's gonna want to come and improve. Going in a 3-fight lose streak would be very bad for his career. So I do think you're right. He's probably going to come out swinging.
Yeah. So just curious, a fight to end. Get a little prop bet here. If the fight gets a first minute finish in the first 60 seconds, it's +900. So if you think Jannis is just going to piece this dude up from the second this fight starts, you can win $900 if you bet 100. So worth it.
Not too bad.
Like it's I wouldn't do it though. I would just bet on the over under on rounds.
Yeah, I agree. I think -1.5 rounds at what was it, like +120 is a solid shot. But great. Okay, so next fight. This is actually a feel-good story. I don't know if you remember this one, but Themba Garimbo versus Ramiz Maj, I believe. I don't remember if you saw it. Well, you definitely saw it when it first came out, but Themba was actually the fighter who had the story come out that he only had like $7 in his bank account, and then The Rock actually bought him a house.
Right.
I believe it was. So he's back. He's fighting this weekend. So I think he's gonna come out. He's gonna come out wanting to win. He's a great grappler. He averages 3.39 takedowns per fight, while Rami's only averages 1.9. He's got a takedown accuracy of 45% and a takedown defense of 66%, while Rami's is on 66% and 58% respectively. I think it's going to be a long fight. I think it is likely going to go the distance at +180 there. Themba's coming off of 2 wins. I think he's going to want to come out swinging. He's -142, and I do have him winning by decision.
Yeah, Themba, not only is he the guy that The Rock bought a house for. I believe The Rock bought a house for him. Is that what it was?
I think so.
But also, he was just on during media day, he actually revealed that his coach's, I forget who it was, his coach's wife or mother had just died. I'm sorry. I want to get this correct before I even talk any further about this. His coach's mother died, and he was talking about it in his media day interview yesterday. So he's extra motivated to fight for his coach. I don't know what that means in terms of his performance, but it's worth mentioning, just, out of respect, that he's going to be extra motivated for this fight to win for his coach. So that's something worth monitoring. You mentioned his takedowns. Over 1.5 takedowns plus 100. So you're basically just getting 50-50 money there. 1.5 takedowns. I would make that bet. I think that he's going to be going for a lot of takedowns in this fight. And if this fight goes the distance, you're going to see more than one. So I like that bet, and I like the fight going the distance because I agree. I don't see this one being I don't see it like being a bang out brawl, I guess is what I would try to say.
No, and you typically don't see that when you have two kind of grapplers going at each other, right? So that's actually a really solid bet, that over 1.5 takedowns. That's combined, right? Like for both fighters?
Just know for Garimbo to get 2 takedowns in this fight would be plus 100.
Got it. Still solid odds. I think there's a good chance of that happening. Okay. Next fight on the card, Chaos Williams versus Carlston Harris. This seems like a striker versus grappler matchup right off the bat. This is an interesting one. Chaos is 3 for 3. He's got 3 wins in his last 5. Carlston has 4 wins in his last 5. And his one loss was against Shavkat Rakhmonov, who is absolutely fantastic. And is one of the rising stars in the UFC, on his way to a championship bout for sure, after another win there. So, you can't hold him. You can't hold that loss against him too much, I don't think. Chaos, he doesn't grapple at all. He is the minus 130 favorite, by the way, while Carlston Harris is plus 120. But Chaos Williams doesn't grapple at all, but he does have an 80% takedown defense. He lands almost 2 times as many punches or strikes per minute at 5.77 per minute versus 2.93. So I think that Carlston Harris, he's going to have to grapple to win. I think he's going to, just have to dominate on the ground. Dominate on the ground while avoid getting striked by Chaos. But if Chaos can land just a couple times, then Carlston's done. But I still would favor the world towards Carlston, either by decision or by submission.
So, I'm looking at their records here, and Carlston is 19-5. Half of his wins are, he's 6 by submission, 5 by KO, 8 decisions. For Kalen Williams or Chaos, he has 14 wins, half of them by KO, the other half by decisions. He has 1 submission, so he's 7 KO, 6 decisions. So you have guys that like half of their fights end in decision. So with that math, I know MMA math isn't perfect, but if I'm doing that math in my head here, Carlston Harris by decision is a plus 350. Chaos Williams by decision is a plus 550. I'm taking into account the fact that Chaos is younger. He's 6 years younger. So I actually disagree with you. I think Chaos is going to get it done here I think at a plus 550, you're getting incredible odds here for him to win by decision. So I think if I were to make a bet, I haven't decided yet, that would be my bet, is Chaos by decision. Either one of these guys by decision, I think would be the smart bet.
What are the odds for Chaos by knockout?
Plus 130. So they think it's more likely he's going to win by knockout. But the problem that I'm having with that is like half of his fights go to decision, and he wins. He's won a few split decisions too. So
this is my kind of counter to that, is that for this fight to go to decision, it would have to be a grappling fight, because I don't think that Carlston Harris will last 3 rounds striking with Chaos. And I think that if it's a grappling match, then you have to give the edge to Carlston in that sense to win by decision. And that's my only difference there.
Right. It depends on what Carlston Harris does with his position, because just based on what I'm seeing, is like, if it's a lot of control time, it just depends on if Kalen can do some damage, because the control time is going to weigh less than the damage will if when they are on the feet and Chaos is able to land some pretty significant strikes, then I think that the control time will be less of a factor. But you're right. If it's a majority grappling match, chaos is fucked. But if he's able to land some shots, then I do think that it could be a decision, because based on, I'm just looking at his opponents, and yeah, he's lost a split decision, won a split decision, won unanimous, lost unanimous. Oh, he lost to Michelle Pereira. Interesting. So he's a little all over the place, but I understand your logic. That does make sense to me.
Yeah. Cool. Well, final fight of the night. This is the one I'm fully 50-50 on. I have no clue which way to go. We have Edson Barbosa versus Lerone Murphy. Barbosa is on a 2-fight win streak. Lerone Murphy is 5-0 in the UFC. He's 13-0 as a pro with 1 draw. Barbosa, he is 38. I believe he's the better grappler too. Or no, sorry.
No, striker.
Yeah. Sorry, he's the better striker, but Murphy's the better grappler. I don't think I'm going to bet on this fight because I'm leaning towards Lerone Murphy. But Edson Barbosa, I believe, who did he fight last? He fought
Sadiq Usyk, yeah.
Who's in theory another potentially rising star in the UFC, even though he took a loss last fight. But at the time, he was another potentially rising star. Ended up getting the loss against Edson Barbosa, which people, I also think they thought Edson was going to lose. So that's why I'm 50-50. I want to go with Lerone, but Edson seems to be like a wild card, so I don't want to bet against him personally.
I think that these are the best odds you're going to get on Lerone Murphy. It's weird. It's 50-50 on how many the bets that are coming in right now. Lerone Murphy is a guy that this is, because Edson Barbosa has kind of become a little bit of a gatekeeper, you could say. And Lerone has a chance of really, if he can beat Edson, he could be in that, top 10 contender range, or maybe he's fighting for some title, some title eliminators in a couple fights from now. Mm-hmm. Sadiq Usyk had Edson Barbosa very hurt in that first round last time that they fought. And a lot of people feel like that fight was very close to being stopped. Maybe it could have been stopped. And then Edson really used his just veteran MMA knowledge to really just gut out a really good win, because he used some very savvy MMA tactics to win that fight. I don't think Lerone Murphy is going to make the same mistake. I would bet that Lerone Murphy is going to win this fight. And I would bet that it's going to be with takedowns. It's going to be with control time. And he's going to do everything that Sadiq Usyk did not. Yeah. And I think at -155, I'm pretty happy with those odds to bet on Lerone Murphy. So, and I love Edson Barbosa, but I don't think he's gonna be able to keep it. This guy's really athletic. He's very quick. He's fast. He's explosive. I think he's gonna have a tough time with Lerone Murphy.
I agree. Yeah, it's an interesting one. That actually. So you mentioned that it's gonna be a grappling fight. I agree with that, which is why and I guess I'll bring this up now. It's why I ended up having this as my parlay of the night, where I see that fight going over 3.5 rounds. I actually don't think we included it in this one. But okay. I think I ended up taking it out, but over 3.5 rounds for Barbosa Murphy at -150, I think is a great value bet, because I think for both fighters, I think if Lerone Murphy wins, he is going to do it via grappling. And I think if Barbosa wins, he is just going to he's going to take the fight the distance, and he's going to out stamina Murphy. So in both scenarios, it's a long fight. And we're looking at over 3.5 rounds there. But anyway, parlay of the night. This is what we got going on. So it's been a theme, guys. Last week we missed the parlay by 1 bet because of the Spain losing.
Yeah.
Super unfortunate.
He got fraud checked, Adam. He got fraud checked big time. And we were throwing him in there to win the first 60 seconds too. We got
you know what?
I don't know if he landed a punch, if I'm being honest.
It's one of those losses I'm okay with taking, though, because sometimes, you got to bet on those heavy favorites from time to time, because they kind of beef up the parlay and they don't always hit, but that's why we do parlays weekly. Because when they do hit, we make some good money. But anyway, Jannis versus Salvador, like we mentioned, probably going to be a knockout or TKO by Adrian Jannis. I don't think the fight's going to go the distance. So we have that at -225. Pinheiro versus Hill. It's a women's strawweight fight. I don't see a knockout. I don't see a submission. The fight is likely going to go the distance. We have that at minus 360. Garimbo versus Brahimaj, over 1.5 rounds. Like we mentioned, it's going to be a grappling fight. I don't see, I just don't see it ending quick. Fight over 1.5 rounds, it either ends later on or it goes to decision. We're still winners. And then Williams versus Harris over 1.5 total rounds, I think is a fair bet as well. And yeah, so you get that at plus 380, $100 returns $480. If you want to beef up the parlay, what I would do is I would bet on Garimbo versus Ramiz going to the distance, which is actually plus 180. So that'll beef up your parlay quite a bit, considering we only have the minus 166 on that fight. And you can also bet on Chaos Williams and Carlston Harris to go to the distance. That's a plus 180 as well. I like those. I like that one less than the Garimbo one. So I'd probably keep the Garimbo at plus 180 to go the distance. But anyway, that's my parlay of the night. Jesse, what are your thoughts? Is it hitting or am I?
No, I like it. I guess my only concern with the Garimbo thing that you said about going the distance, I do think that submission is in play for Garimbo. So I agree that it's possible it goes over 1.5 rounds. In fact, I think it's likely, but I do think that a submission is in play for him. So I would probably argue both of those, both leg 3 and leg 4, are slightly at risk of not hitting, whereas I think leg 1 and leg 2 are much more likely.
I agree.
I do like it though.
Yeah, but that's why I included the like leg 3. That's why I included the over 1.5 rounds, because I agree with you. I think going the distance is a risky pick. And we're here to make money. So we'll gotta minimize the risk a little bit.
No biscuit if you don't risk it, baby. Gotta go.
Cool. Well, anyway, another episode of Insider Betting. We go live every single Thursday, guys, at 3 p.m. Pacific time, 5 p.m. Central, 6 p.m. Eastern. Please join us. Leave questions in the comments. You can find us on Instagram and TikTok as well. We post clips on there, so definitely keep an eye out. And yeah, Jesse, I appreciate you joining me again.
Yep. And we will have our templates and our layouts in better order next time. I think we got a little messy there, but we got through it.
Sometimes you got to get messy, but yeah, if you guys got any feedback on how we do better, please leave that in the comments as well.
Yeah.
Because we're looking to grow, we're looking to improve. But anyway, Jesse, till next Thursday, brother. Cheers.
Let's go. Cheers.